Good afternoon, Councilwoman Shirley Lanier. This is the Special Utilities Special District meeting. The date is February the 5th, 2026. The time is 6:13. We'll have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by our mayor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Chairperson Shirley Lanier.
Here.
Vice Chair Kashamba Miller Anderson.
Present.
Board Member Bruce Guyton. Board Member Dr. Spiritus.
Here.
Board Member Priscilla Davis Panier.
Here.
Ex-official Board Member Mayor Douglas Lawson.
Here.
Jonathan Evans, City Manager.
Present.
Deborah Lawson sitting in for Deborah Hall, District Clerk. District Attorney John Wynn.
Here.
District Finance Director Randy Sherman. Madam Chair, we have a quorum. You may begin.
Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions for this agenda this evening from staff or from the board?
None from staff, Madam Chair.
Any disclosures from the board or staff in regards to the items or the item that is on the agenda this evening? Motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Madam Clerk?
Board Member Davis Panier.
Yes.
Board Member Guyton. Vice Chair Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Dr. Spiritus.
Yes.
Chairperson Lanier.
Yes.
Unanimous.
There is no consent agenda. We will get right into our first item. Madam Clerk?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
for the record, it's not a unanimous vote as Councilperson Guyton was absent.
For,
So it's
for
with
the
absence.
adoption of the
Unanimous
agenda?
with Board Member
Okay.
Guyton absent. Thank you.
Mr. Evans, let's get into number 8A. Clerk, could you read that out, please?
Madam Chair, before we continue, Councilman Guyton will be attending. He's just running behind. Just put that for the record.
Check.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Madam Clerk, if you want to read the title.
Resolution number 03-26 UD. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the City of Revere Beach Utility Special District, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order in the amount not to exceed a guaranteed maximum price, GMP, of $280,418,404.52 to Haskell CMD Smith Joint Venture for GMP5 for the construction of a new ultrafiltration UF reverse osmosis RO nanofiltration NF water treatment plant and associated facilities, authorizing the Utility Special District Finance Director to make payments from Project 23046 in an amount not to exceed $280,418,404.52 and providing for an effective date.
Motion.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Evans?
Madam Chair and members of the board, the item before you this evening is to seek Utility Board authorization to proceed forward with GMP5 for the construction of a water treatment plant here in the city of Revere Beach. At this time in the presentation, I will turn it over to Utility District Director, Mr. Josh Neiman, to begin the presentation. Director Neiman?
Excuse me, Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
We do have 4 comment cards for this item.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Joshua Neiman, USD Executive Director. So following our 122 utility district meeting, we went back to the drawing board and looked at the comparable costs for our water treatment plant in regards to other projects located throughout the state. Upon doing so, we were able to see that there's about 10 different projects throughout the state that are either on their way to being done, in construction, or completed. Out of those 10, we were able to identify 2 that were somewhat apples-to-apples comparisons. And in doing so, I asked Ms. Melamud and Mr. Grace to provide independent cost analysis for the City of Riviera Beach to Delray Beach, and a comparison between Riviera Beach and the City of Fort Lauderdale.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
Josh, could you just tell us who those people are
Yes,
and
sir.
what their backgrounds are?
So Ms. Melamud is a licensed engineer. She is a resident of the City of Riviera Beach and has been working with the utility for about, I think, the last year and a half, independently consulting as basically an owner's rep. And then Nigel Grace is also our owner's rep. He works for Brown and Caldwell. He's been overseeing the project from its infancy.
Thank you.
So with that, without further ado, I will bring Ms. Melamud up to the podium to provide her presentation and give the cost comparison between Riviera Beach and Delray Beach, and then Riviera Beach and the City of Fort Lauderdale.
Thank you. How do you get the presentation on the screen?
Mr. Adams, changes it.
Walter, can you
Oh,
put
okay.
it up?
There you
There it is.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Adjust this here. Oh, that's a lot better. So last month, I presented a very rough and dirty, what I called back of the envelope presentation, comparing costs of our GMP5 with 5 other plants that are in the geographic area. And as Mr. Neiman was saying, we picked 2 in particular that are the furthest along. One is under construction, and one is at the 60% design point. And so I have come to present the results of a much more detailed analysis, because we did not have a lot of the details as to the features of the plants or a breakdown of their costs. We've since obtained the information and can now do a more detailed analysis. So first, let me talk about the methodology. So we selected the Fort Lauderdale 50 million gallons a day and the Delray Beach 22 million gallon a day water treatment plants. Fort Lauderdale is going to be completed in 2027, and procurement method is design, build, and operate. There's going to be a 30-year operating contract coming up after the plant is placed in service. Delray Beach is at the 60% design completion point, and they went out and got their GMP based on that 60%, and that is also a design-build contract. The ones we looked at last month, Boynton Beach, Fort Pierce, Fort St. Lucie, were in very early stages of development, and their estimates were not such that we could obtain any kind of meaningful breakdowns for comparison. So that's why we selected these 2 particular plants. After doing that, we developed a list of questions and researched the answers to the questions. Nigel Grace from Brown Caldwell served as a consultant to Fort Lauderdale, so he and I sat down and went over all of the features of the Fort Lauderdale plant. And Susan Meckler from CDM participated in the Delray Beach project, and she helped me identify some of those costs, as well as some more fine-tuning of breakdowns within GMP5, so we would have a better basis for comparison. We didn't have really full detailed breakdowns for either Fort Lauderdale or Delray, but I do believe we got enough information to make a cogent comparison, the parts that we needed to add and deduct to those plants. Next, we tabulated a comparison of the plant features and costs, and then we adjusted the cost to attempt to get an apples-to-apples comparison. So here are the questions that we developed so that we could get started on this evaluation. First, we looked at some general overview questions. When was the facility or will it be completed? Is it a new site? Is it an expansion of an existing site? Because that can have a definite effect on site costs. Plant operating capacity, future capacity, and what specific processes are there in that plant. And for example, they were all the two plants are both membrane plants, but there is also ion exchange at the Fort Lauderdale plant. Next, we looked at the components and features. Now, this part was critical to the analysis because we needed to know what is included in those two plants that either is or is not included in GMP5. And if it isn't included in GMP5, then we would deduct it from the other plant. And if GMP5 has features that are not included in the other plants, we make those adjustments. And I'll show you what those adjustments are in a few minutes. So these are some of the features that we looked at. Deep injection wells. Those are not in GMP5, but are in some of the other plant costs. High service pump station, clear well, ground storage tank, those are all in GMP5. Well redevelopment is not. New wells are not. Those are separate GMPs, but they were included in some of the other plants. Treatment facility building. All of them had a treatment facility building, but they varied in size. So we needed to take that into consideration. Administration buildings, raw water transmission mains. GMP5 does not include those, but some of the other plants did. And then, were there any other structures or other discerning features? So, and it's a little hard to see on the screen, and I think each of you has a table in your notebooks that has these tabulations for you. I'm not going to go over every single line item, but what we did here was we then listed on the left-hand side all of the different features we just discussed, and then we looked at whether Riviera Beach had them in the GMP and whether Delray had them in the GMP, in conforming the Riviera versus Delray Beach comparison. And let's see, for example, ground storage tank. Riviera Beach has it. No, for Delray Beach, they're going to use their existing tank. For their admin building, we have a 20,000 square foot building, water treatment plant building, but Delray Beach has a much smaller building, 7,600 square feet. So this way we would proportion the costs of the building in doing our analysis. Commissioning. How long does it take to commission the plant, and who would be actually running the plant during that commissioning process? For Riviera Beach, the plant will be operated by the JV during the commissioning process, but not so for Delray Beach. Their city personnel will be operating it. So we would be making an adjustment of the cost based on that. So this really tells the tale. This is the cost adjustments that we came up with for Riviera Beach versus Delray. Capacity, Riviera Beach is 22, Delray Beach was 22 MGD, and we have 8.6 MGD of nanofiltration. We also have RO, but Delray Beach does not. So we proportion only on the nanofiltration. And we can get
Madam
our
Chair.
cost adjustment.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Ms. Melamud, could you tell everybody what RO is, please?
I can't hear
Can you explain what RO is?
Yes, reverse osmosis. So we have a plant that has ultrafiltration as pretreatment, nanofiltration, and reverse osmosis. And the Delray plant has nanofiltration. And that's the 22 million gallon a day that we're comparing with our 8.6 million gallons a day. Pretreatment. So Riviera Beach, we have to deduct $30 million for pretreatment because Delray Beach does not have it. The site, we have to lease, because we are on a tight site in an urban environment, We have to lease space for laydown and for storage, and Delray Beach does not have to do that. So we need to make an adjustment for that. Riviera Beach, the Delray does not have a clear well. They are sharing a clear well with their existing facilities because the site is an expansion of an existing site. And so we have a deduct for that. Ground storage tanks, high service pumps. We also have deducts because Delray Beach does not have those facilities. We have a different amount of yard piping that we had to adjust. We have odor control, and they do not, so we deduct the cost of our odor control from the GMP cost. And we've made an adjustment for the ratio of the sizes of the admin building, a deduct for commissioning, and a deduct for the Build American, Buy American, which is in our GMP, but it is not applicable for Delray Beach. So doing the math.
Wait, excuse me, Madam Chair. I have a question. Could you go back to the next screen? And by the way, could you note that Commissioner Guyton is here?
You want me to go back?
Go back to the
Yeah.
yeah. Sure.
On the first line in the capacity, that 22 million gallons a day, you said that was Delray?
So the 22 million is the Delray Beach, and ours is 8.6 million. So we would have to have an apples to apples, we would have to add that difference to our cost to compare apples and apples.
That's why it's multiplied by
Yes.
5 million?
Correct.
And Delray is 16.6?
Delray Beach is 22 million of nanofiltration, and we are 8.6 million of nanofiltration. You take the ratio times the cost of the nanofiltration, and you get 16.6 million. We are at 6.5 million, so you have to have an adder of 10.1 million in order to do apples to apples between the two plants.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
So doing the math, Riviera Beach, we start with the 280.4 million. I round up to the nearest decimal. We add for the capacity differential, we take away pretreatment, we take away laydown and storage, the clear well, the high service pump station, ground storage tank, transfer pumps, the difference in yard piping, the fact that we have odor control and Delray does not, the admin building differences, commissioning, and BABA. And doing that, our 280.4 million becomes 203.1 million. Next, we adjust Delray Beach. So they have a demolition cost. They have some overhead and profit on allowances and contingencies that we don't have, plus we don't have the same types of allowances. We don't have allowances and we don't have the same types of contingencies because we're further along. We're at the 90 to 100% design and they're at the 60% design. They also included the rehab of wells and some new wells. So we had to make a deduct for that. And they also included a pigging contract. Pigging is where you would clean out your lines by a rotating device that goes through the pipe. And so they've included the pigging of raw water mains, and we do not have that in our GMP5. When you make those adjustments to Delray Beach, you come up with an overall cost of 201.7 million. And you can see it's pretty much a wash. The two plants are pretty much the same price within the level of accuracy that you could have here. Now, I do not say that this is a 100% apples to apples comparison. In order to do that, you'd have to lay the two contracts side by side and go line item by line item. That was not what was done here because we really don't have that level of detail. But I would say that for the detail that we do have, this is as accurate a comparison as we could get.
Madam Chair. And thank you for the analysis.
Oh, I have the Fort Lauderdale one to do next, unless you want to go over this in more detail.
Yes, we will, but I have a question for this one.
Sure.
1.4 in allowances and contingencies.
Yes.
Is that the per se, change orders that would be discussed versus the two plants?
Yes, so what happened is that contract for Delray included a whole lot of allowances. During the process of developing the GMP5, we've eliminated allowances.
Yeah.
So we need to look at their allowances and contingencies and say, well, some of them may come into fruition, some not.
Mm-hmm.
And they also had overhead and profit on those contingencies. Yes. So this was a sort of a judgment call on my part as to what I thought would be a realistic amount to deduct for the fact that they had allowances and we don't.
Very good analysis. That was the only gray area that I saw because that seemed to be the only judgment. Everything seemed to be spot on, even down to the real estate. That number was excellent. Thank you for the comparison between 20,000 square feet and 7,000. The allowances, based upon a 65% design, 60 versus the 95 that we're at now, I think should be a little bit higher, which would then put us on par or even less than Delray, because as they continue to go through the process, I foresee cost of construction, development, and the change orders coming at a higher amount. Because when we went from 60 to 90, we saw a fluctuation and a jump that was a little bit more than this, but it's fairly spot on. So based on this analysis, I'm very impressed. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. I think within the level of accuracy that we have here, $1 million or $2 million up or down on one side or another really doesn't show any difference between the two. I think that this is a close enough to say they're really the same price.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, the next one is Fort Lauderdale.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I need to let the record reflect that Board Member Guyton is here.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Similarly, Riviera Beach versus Fort Lauderdale. Again, I'm not going to go over every line item there. I hope that you have the table and can do that on your own. But we'll cut to the chase. Here are the adjustments for Riviera Beach versus Fort Lauderdale. So again, we have a capacity difference. Now, Fort Lauderdale had a 50 MGD, million gallon a day capacity. However, 15 MGD of that was a process called ion exchange. It's abbreviated as IX. So we needed to make an adjustment for that. The first thing we did was again, the same way, the ratio, 35 million gallons a day of nanofiltration versus 8.6 for Riviera Beach. And that turned out to be a $20 million adjustment. On the process, we made a judgment call, kind of looked at industry standards for what the costs of ion exchanges per million gallons a day, and made an adjustment of $60 million to deduct from Fort Lauderdale because of that was included in the cost of their plant. Again, the leased storage and parking that Riviera Beach is incurring. Clearwell, we have a larger Clearwell. We have a smaller Clearwell. They have a larger Clearwell, and we had to make a deduction for the difference in the size of the Clearwell. High service pump station, ground storage tank. We deducted that from our estimate because Fort Lauderdale did not have them. Fort Lauderdale had deep injection wells included in their estimate, and they did have the costs for those, and we made a $30 million adjustment for that. Yard piping differentials. They also had transmission mains like Delray had, and we do not. That'll be a separate GMP for Riviera Beach. We deducted for odor control. We deducted for a difference in the size of the admin building. And next, because the estimate was based in the year 2022, they added an inflation adjustment. The CPI index averaged over the last 3 years 3%. So I included a 3%, that's 1.03 to the third power, adjustment for inflation. And finally, the BABA deduction. So again, doing the math, Riviera Beach, when we take our $280.4 million GMP, and we deduct the capacity differential, pre-treatment, leased parking and storage, high service pump station, ground storage tank, odor control and differences in the size of the admin building and BABA, we get our plant reduced to $232.8 million. Next, we do our adjustment to Fort Lauderdale. So from there, $485 million, the first thing we do is we deduct the $60 million in ion exchange. We also deduct their deep injection wells. It's one well and a monitoring well that was included in their price. An $8 million clear well, difference in yard piping, the fact that they had transmission mains in their cost and we don't, added in inflation, and their number now became $360.3 million compared to our $232.8, and that's adjusted for the difference in time in the 3 years. If we did not include the inflation, their cost would have been just under $300 million. So, not included in this analysis, I didn't really have a detailed breakdown of their general conditions or their profit, and we didn't have a further breakdown of their costs. This was as much information as we could get from their website and their minutes of their meetings where they reviewed their GMPs. So what can we conclude from all of this? First of all, we can say that for these two plants, Riviera Beach costs are competitive. If we did look at more differentiators, we could fine tune it, but I don't think that we would have any difference in the results. We captured the major cost adders and the major cost deducts. The differences, other than equipment, between Riviera Beach and Delray are really in the general conditions. Our staffing is greater level of staffing, but that makes sense to some extent because we have a 4-year construction period and Delray has a 3-year construction period. Our overhead and profit is 1% more than it is for Delray. And if you look at it, the 12.5% profit on our entire project, if you look at a total cost of $400 million, is $50 million. So there's quite a bit in there for profit. Their engineering services during construction, ESDC, is higher for Riviera Beach because, again, the longer construction period. So you have to have the engineers on board for an extra year. Other factors that may have increased Riviera Beach's costs, there was somewhat of an effect of market conditions and lack of competition. There were a couple of major cost items, namely the electrical systems and the piping systems that had very few bidders. Some items had no bidders at all, and several were bid only by the JV. So that lack of competition, although you went out to, I think, several hundred vendors, I think tends to affect the cost. One very important feature is that the site is very tight and it's in an urban area. That opposes additional cost. In addition to leasing, you have to be busing in workers, you have laydown and storage and parking, and things just take longer when you're in an urban environment. So that's really the results of the findings and conclusions, and I'm happy to take any questions.
I need to ask the executive director, I have some terms I need some definitions for. The leased laydowns, what is that?
Madam Chair, if I may. So that is the area that will store the equipment that will be installed over time, and because they have to purchase that equipment, you know, and have it ready, so we'll have to find a place for it to be actually laid down. So we call it a laydown area.
Okay, and what is that, VABA?
But waiver, which is Buy America.
Buy America, Build America.
Buy America, Build America, and basically what that is, it's a requirement if we use some of the WIFIA funding.
And Clearwell?
Clearwell is a portion of the water treatment plant, and that's where the water actually is fine-tuned and brought to the finished water quality that we want to meet as we send it out to our distribution.
Is that something that's underground?
A portion of it will be, a portion of it will be above ground as well. It'll be both.
And then yard piping?
Yard piping is the conveyance piping within the water plant that actually takes water from one point to the next.
Got it. Any other questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Newman, this doesn't include the total cost of the new plant with the infrastructure and everything. That's a question, does it?
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
No, sir, it does not. The GMP5 is only for the water plant, and the price comparisons that we did were water plant to water plant, not the other things that are included in GMPs 1, 2, 3, or 4. And so, for example, that's why we subtracted our injection well in the cost cost comparisons, because GMP4 had it, not GMP5.
For all of the GMP steps, approximately what is the total cost going to be?
So we're estimating the total cost of about $400 million.
And the method of payment, I know that we got a bond based on increasing the water rates. And from what I've heard, everyone up here is trying to look for funding that can defray that cost. Not all, probably not, but a large portion of it. Where are we on that?
So currently, we were looking to bond, as you stated, but as we move through this project, we will continue to actively seek any type of earmarked funding or grant funding, and then we probably will most likely stack some of the funding. We have provided a memo as part of the backup, and we will go through that later this evening with the finance director if need be.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Last we spoke, there was some financiers here, for lack of a better term, and the young lady was supposed to be kind of leading the effort to try to identify, and I'm sorry, her name escapes me now. She was supposed to be leading the effort to try to identify additional funds. And everyone up here also, too, we're out talking to legislators trying to run the fund. But I want to know what staff is doing and if you've had any conversations with her as it relates to any updates about her efforts to identify additional funds.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
So I believe you're talking about Stacy from CDM, and yes, we are in constant contact. We will continue to actively seek out some of the funding opportunities that will be available. You know, we know we can get bonds. We know we can get SRF funding. We know we can get WIFIA. All of them have drawbacks and, you know, shortcomings. But what I think the most critical thing for staff and along with CDM is identifying the funds that really are grants. I think the grants are the best funding for us to go after. I know Mr. Evans and I spoke earlier this week about some resiliency funding grants that generally don't apply to stuff like this, but when you think outside the box, you can make it apply, and you can get very strategic with the way you adopt some of these applications and get some of this funding, whether it be the Army Corps of Engineers, whether it be South Florida Water Management, or if we go to the state and federal level, you know, we really are going to actively seek out any of those opportunities.
Last question, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Evans, the report that we requested to be submitted, was it last Friday? Was it related to the funding?
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, that particular item was related to the funding, and it is also, I did send it out to the board last Friday, and it is also contained in the agenda packet. And it does talk about the capital stack as it relates to WIFIA, SRF, grants, appropriations, and the micro bonds or mini bonds we were looking at. So contained in that memorandum, we provide some options. And then as the director also mentioned, is that we actually had a productive conversation with FDEP on some other resiliency monies that may be provided for. So we are, to your point, looking at every and all different capital stacks to reduce what is the overall burden on ratepayers.
That's all I have right now, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so, Josh, in response to my colleague's question on the funding, I just want to make it clear that the city council was up in Tallahassee a couple of weeks ago on Palm Beach Day. We were lobbying our legislators on the SRF money. We know that typically they give 20% grant in the SRF funding, and we were trying to get them to go up to the 50% number that they're allowed to do. So that was one of the reasons that we were up in Tallahassee, and we were working very hard with our legislators, and we'll follow up on that. The resiliency funding, as we spoke to Stacy, I guess it was about a month ago, whatever, when she was here. As you know, every government agency, every federal agency has a resiliency program. I do believe that we just received, we had a resiliency grant to do a study. I don't know if it's actually department related, meaning whether it's Corps of Engineers as opposed to DOT, or if it's a general program that could be used for all of the other government agencies, so that we can apply for those fundings. But I'm happy that the city did apply for that. I think it was last year, and that we received that and that we did the study. I don't know what the status of the study is, Mr. Manager. Maybe you could tell us.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
I think that they're about halfway through the study element, but yes, we did receive a grant for resiliency, and it is looking at everything holistically, and that will open up a lot of doors, not just for water, but also roadway projects and other infrastructure throughout the city. But yes, we are doing that study.
All right, and Mr. Manager, we have the WIFIA application prepared, correct, and ready to be submitted, and the SRF application?
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
We should hear back from SRF, I believe, February 11th. So next week we'll understand, we'll know where we stand. Originally, when we submitted our application to SRF, they had already let the monies, and they did ask for us to submit again, and so we did, in fact, submit again. So we should know here in the next couple of days where we start. As for WIFIA, we did submit an application to WIFIA. We were accepted into the WIFIA program. And then when we do come back before the board, the next action that you would take to participate that is paying the $100,000 if you wanted to go through what is the process for WIFIA. But when we get into the more in-depth conversations before we go to the bond market, we are going to be sharing with you all more comprehensive information, where we are with regards to SRF, what WIFIA looks like at the time, and then also what traditional bonding looks like as well. Since the last conversation that we had concerning WIFIA, the rates have actually gone up, and so, but we will provide a comprehensive presentation on the financing options for your consideration before we go out to the bond market, and then also to speak on the mini or micro bonds that we talked about as well, that will be available to residents of the community.
Right, Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
So clearly we have the applications prepared. The WIFIA can go in. Hopefully the interest rates will come down and make it feasible to use the WIFIA program, because there are some positives with the WIFIA, kicking the can down the road with payments. I know that some bonding, some of the general obligation bonds you could do that with, but there's no prepayment penalty here, as Finance Director Sherman, Randy Sherman, told us, which is good. So this is really almost like a bridge loan until we can finalize what we want to do in the long term. It's, I think we're going through the right process, and I'm very pleased with the staff, and thank you, Ms. Malamud, for your presentation tonight. This is what we were waiting for last week. We wanted to be able to be comfortable in voting for this, and knowing that the numbers were close enough for us to be able to go back to the community and say, we've done our homework, and we believe that this is the right number, and we're comfortable in approving this. And thank you for all your work.
Sure.
Go ahead, and then go with you.
And I wanted to do the same thing. Thank you for the information. I think it's important, obviously, for us, because we have to vote on it, but also for the residents to get a clearer picture of, the analysis and the cost that is associated with this water plant. So thank you for that. And then Director Neiman, I know I may be jumping the gun, but is there a projected time frame of when we will be looking at GMP 6 if
Madam
GMP
Chair, if I
5 is
may?
approved?
So I am hoping to be able to bring those GMP backs by March. They are looking to try to finalize some of those numbers. I know we had a meeting today. GMP 6 will actually be the raw water transmission line, and then GMP 7, which we're just splitting the two so we can get the numbers in quicker, will be for the finished water line and then also for the upgrades to the Avenue L roadway. So I'm hoping by March we should have that stuff into you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, also there is another component of the presentation where, as Director Neiman communicated earlier, Ms. Mellema did an independent review of those two particular plants. Mr. Grace also has a other part of the presentation that if the board would indulge us to allow for Mr. Grace to also do his part of the presentation, because it does provide additional assurances to the board as it relates to the cost comparison and where you are. And so we did want to go that extra step to have two persons independently look at the cost for the water treatment plant. So there is that presentation that is ready to go.
Madam Chair.
Did you have something? Mayor, and then Dr. Spears.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think that we've exhausted a lot of the cost comparisons because this was the biggest concern. We talked about possibly going back out for bid to compare pricing. They did a great presentation and a phenomenal comparison stack. I think the biggest cost and the biggest concern for residents next is going to be how we can pay for it. And thank you, Director Neiman, for addressing creative options, looking outside the box. Because while we have the option of securing bridge loans, bonds, and funding, we want to make sure that we can find as much funding that's not going to impact the taxpayers as much and the ratepayers. So they're already got an increase of over 100%. I think the next step is to continue to search for the funding options and to keep building that. But I don't think we need to continue to delay with comparisons and expectations. We got the clear direction from our board, and Mr. Evans, I know that you want to have another presentation to give additional sureties, but we had our agenda reviews. We had our meetings, and I think our residents and our community are ready for us to move forward because the comparisons are there. It's spot on with where the market is. We have one of the best development teams, and it's time for us to break ground on this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Dr. Spears, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate that the mayor was in Washington lobbying this project. It's very important that we be there physically to do that. I've been to Washington 2 times. I've been to Tampa once to meet with EPA on this project. It's very important that we have a one-on-one relationship. I'm sure we're going to do that throughout the project. Because I'm sure there's going to be other grants and loans that we'll be looking for on this project. But if you can explain to the public and the council, we've spent a substantial amount of money to date, haven't we, in the other GMP areas on the wells. So can you just give us a little synopsis of where we are today with the well fields?
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, but we might want to go back to 2019 when out of 29 wells, it was like 18 probably were working. So from 2019 until now, we've gotten all of the wells that the city has online. So doing that, when we discovered that some wells need to be rehabbed, and that's when we got into doing all the wells. But go ahead. I just wanted to make sure that people understood that when we got here in 2019, half the wells were out of commission. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, if I may, and you're exactly spot on. I can tell you, I was on my way to work this morning and I was thinking about some of the great things that we've done already. And I really have to give credit to City Manager Evans and Assistant City Manager Jacobs, because a lot of the stuff that I've been able to take over is really already in process. And so I really think they are a huge debt of gratitude, at least from me, for the success I've had. But to answer your question, GMP 1, which was for early stages, was about $6 million. GMP 2 for the wellfield expansion part 1 was another $13.7 million. GMP 3 was 23.7, and then GMP 4 was 280 million. Or I'm sorry, 28 million. The 28 million was for the injection well. That's in process, being drilled right now. As far as the Floridan and surficial wells, the 2 surficial wells are completed. They are going through what we call acidification process to actually get the raw water a little bit more stable, the salt content down, and actually produce more water out of that specific well. And then for the Floridan wells, 3 of the 6 wells are actively in drilling and in the development stage, and the other 3 are actively in permitting and working to start drilling. So we are fast approaching our ability to start pulling water out of the ground and using that at not only our future plant, but the existing plant. Those 2 superficial wells that have been drilled will be able to serve the city for the next 4 years while we are building our new plant.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so then we've spent in the last 2 years approximately $100 million on wells, is that correct?
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
With the exception of the $6 million for early site development, yes.
So close to $100 million. So this will be the 280. This will get us to 380, and you're figuring about another 20 million for GMP 6
Madam Chair, if I may?
or more.
So we are figuring GMP 6 and 7 a combined total of around 40 to 45 million.
So we'll be in about the 420 range by the time we get finished here.
I think, Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
Currently, I believe we're right around 110 million. So when you add the 280, you're absolutely right. We're assuming about 410 million.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
I would just like to thank you, Joshua, for you and your team for coming on board, and the city manager for cleaning house. It's been an honor to work with this city council. We've made some very, very difficult decisions, but we've made those decisions, and we're at the point now where I think that we'll be able to say that we have the best water in Palm Beach County. Thank you.
To present, I wanted to hear him. I met Mr. Grace when I first got here and had to understand that water is a science. And, you know, that was a subject that I really didn't like when I was in school. But learning the science of water, the chemistry that goes along with it, geology, physics, it really is an intense process in terms of getting that water out of the ground, having it ready to be able to drink, but knowing how that process works is I think, what everybody should know, how you get the water out of the ground to your tap. Go ahead, Mr. Grace.
Perfect. I'm Nigel. Good evening, everyone. Delighted to be here. My name is Nigel Grace. I'm the city's owner's rep for the water treatment plant. As Mr. Neiman indicated, we conducted an independent cost assessment. Methodology closely parallels what you just heard. We're not going to get into all the same level of detail, but the conclusion is what's important. We also additionally put together an assessment of what an off-ramp would look like. So this presentation kind of captures both. So just moving ahead, I'm going to skip through some of the preliminary information that you've seen before, just in the interest of being a little bit expedient. But, you know, the GMP is for the water plant. It's comprehensive. Everything within that site is included within that GMP. The cost of $280.4 million. The cost comparison looked at 3 basic components. The technology comparison, and Ms. Melamod went through the details. We tried to add and subtract to align the plans as best as we possibly could. We did cost normalization, so we took the 2022 cost basis for Fort Lauderdale and brought it to the current, and we also looked at economies of scale, recognizing that larger plants can more efficiently deliver water from a cost per gallon basis. So we took a look at that. We went through a process very similar to what you saw her with various adders and deducts and adjustments. Just stepping back and looking at the top line numbers, those are the costs. I won't repeat them. You've seen them. The capacity, the cost basis, and the components of the capacities are shown there. So there are differences among the 3 comparison plants. What's highlighted in red here, we have a table that outlines various attributes that's common across the 3 projects, and we've highlighted in red the attributes that had the potential to make the greatest impact in cost, whether it be for Riviera Beach, or one of the other two. So those are really the components.
What is that you said? Greatest impact, what did you say about that?
The items highlighted in red are essentially unique features or attributes of each respective plant that has the opportunity to make a big impact in the respective costs, right? So essentially, the items in red were the targets of the various adjustments we made, similar to what Ms. Melamud just described. That list goes on here, again, for Riviera Beach, GMP 5 compared to Fort Lauderdale compared to Delray Beach. So in looking at this table, you can see Riviera Beach had several factors that tended to push the cost higher in comparison to the other. Yes.
Let me ask you, that previous slide, it has public visibility and ours is high. What does that mean?
So your plant is located at the city's gateway. It's highly visible. Every resident, everybody, businesses passing through, they're seeing it. These other plants are almost invisible, right? They're buried within existing treatment plant site. There's zero visibility. In the case of Fort Lauderdale, it's surrounded by many, many acres of vacant property that's also owned by the city of Fort Lauderdale. So how does that translate into cost? Well, you've put more money into the architectural presentation and integration into the community than those other plants, right? Those other plants, their admin building is essentially a barn, a rectangular box with 4 walls. Yours is designed to have a public impact. So those are the numerous areas that you can't just look at an admin building and say, well, it's the same cost, right? You have to look at the nuances. So that's an excellent example there. So we looked at each of the plants. So if you see, Fort Lauderdale has yes for Greenfield, but they're very different. Riviera Beach's site is 8.1 acres for everything, including lay-down storage, parking, offices, everything to support construction. Fort Lauderdale site is the same 8 acres, but they have more than double that around the plant site for offices, construction worker parking, etc. So they don't have to be busing people in. They don't have to be leasing warehouses for storage. It's all contained there. Seems like a minor difference, but it translates into millions of dollars of cost differential, right? So each one of those red highlighted items has a story like that behind it that drove the cost, either for Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach, or Riviera Beach in comparison to each other. So the analysis that we did, and again, we kind of kept it kind of general here just to convey the concept, was to quantify and appropriately apply an adjustment for everything you see in red, okay? And you kind of heard the methodology. Some of our numbers may be a little bit different, but the outcome is really the same. The other thing, Ms. Melamud presented her numbers in terms of absolute cost. We rendered the numbers in terms of how much you're paying for each gallon of capacity, right? So again, it's the same thing, just presented a little bit different. So
those other 2 water plants, they're not coming out of the ground like the cities? They're just...
Yes, they are. Fort Lauderdale has been in construction since 2023.
But you're saying with the acreage that they have, I see.
Yes, so we look at the total cost, the adjusted cost, and we divide it by the capacity to get a cost per gallon. So in the comparison between Riviera Beach and Fort Lauderdale, which are the two bars to the left, you can see that Riviera Beach is cheaper than Fort Lauderdale, right? Came in at $14.3 per gallon compared to 16.1. And again, these numbers should be looked at just the directionality of the numbers, not the absolute value. There are infinite number of adjustments and assumptions that one could make. So we're looking at the comparative value, not the absolute number, right? In the case of...
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Nigel, on that previous screen, you mentioned that Fort Lauderdale had everything in one place, and they'd have to ship anybody in, or...
Right.
What is the design of our location? Are we going to have to ship people in from somewhere?
Well, yes. And when we're talking about shipping, we're talking about the construction workers, right? The 200 or 300 people that will be on the site every day, kind of hammering and replacing concrete, etc. Right?
I thought you were talking
Those
everyday
people
workers.
have, when they come to work, they have to park somewhere, right?
Okay.
And the site isn't big enough for them to park there and actually build a plant. So you have to find off-site parking for them, and you have to bus them in,
Oh.
And so I think your project has a whole bunch of yard piping. I'd hate to quote the number, but I think it's like 18,000 feet of piping, right? That's a lot of piping to store. Where are you going to store it? If you lay it on the site, you won't be able to build. So it has to be stored off-site someplace else,
Okay.
right?
I just thought you were talking about our daily operation once we get
Yeah,
it.
no, once it's built, everybody's there, it's different.
Okay.
But to build it,
Okay.
it's more costly in your case because the site is so tight and you have to construct it in a linear fashion. So, for example, those other two projects, they're roughly 3-year construction durations. Yours is a 4-year duration, right? And again, it's largely driven by some of those constraints.
So you said I'm just curious about, the number of people on the site at one time building the water plant. 100 people, 200 people?
It could be upwards of 200-300 people, right?
Yikes.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's a lot of trades, a lot of work in different areas. So it's probably going to peak, probably in the 200 to 300 person range.
Okay.
Right? It's a big project. It's a big project. So compared to Fort Lauderdale, you're cheaper. Compared to Delray Beach, my Smith is a wash. Ms. Mellibot told it's a wash, right? So essentially it's the same. The pricing is competitive by either of these two metrics. It is what it is. And again, just by virtue of the reds, right? Those reds are additional things Revere Beach is doing above, and that's necessary, not discretionary. That's necessary given the unique circumstances associated with this facility that the other treatment facilities don't have to do. So I think we just kind of put an accent on the cost analysis. If there are any additional questions, I'd be more than happy to speak a little bit about the off-ramping process now. So we went through, we did an analysis, we looked step by step at all of what would have been involved in an off-ramp. We tried to make reasonably conservative estimates of the sequence of activities that will be involved. This graphic documents the various steps. Obviously the design has to be driven to 100% completion. You have to go through a procurement process, you have to advertise in the market for a certain duration of time, respond to queries, etc. You have the bid opening, followed by a bid evaluation process, followed by board action that ultimately leads to notice to proceed, and then the new contractor then has to go through a permitting process that's going to take time. Collectively, we're saying you're looking at 12 to 15 months before the first shovel goes into the board with an off-ramping process. So that in essence is, in a nutshell, is what we found there. So the bottom line is, an off-ramp process, one could argue would add an additional measure of transparency, etc. But it adds cost, it adds delays. There's no guarantees that you're going to have any cost savings. The costs are already known in the marketplace. Bulk of the costs within GMP 5 was competitively procured, right? So really the only opportunity for savings would be the general conditions, and whichever contractor you hire is going to have GCs themselves. It's still going to be a 4-year construction duration. The characteristics of the project really won't change.
So let me ask you a question. So in 2019, when we were talking about a water plant, we were looking at 100, 150, and now we're at 4. What is that increase due to? I know that, of course, inflation, because if you didn't buy a pipe, 2 years ago, of course it'll be more money now. What does that attribute to? Or does it include the fact that you've got to see what we need for the water plant, you got to figure out where to put it, pipes, I mean, kind of give me an idea of how we got to this
Yeah,
point.
it's a tough question, but I'm going to give it by just giving some illustrative examples, right? You know, when you're starting with nothing but an idea, right? You know, sometimes assumptions are simplified, number one, right? So let's just set that aside. But let me give you a hard example. This is about 3 or 4 years ago. We put out a project just for an injection well, right? There was only one bidder. That bidder had bought up all the competitors just in the prior period of time. The cost increased substantially, right?
So you said they did what?
Well, I don't want to say much about that, but the point is the market is very dynamic. It's always changing, right? Now you have more people coming into the market providing more competition, but the market, it can vary rapidly, right? So the market is dynamic. The scope of the project, you know, like your project, you know, at 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? It wasn't established, the number of wells you would need, the fact that you'd have 5 railroad crossings, the cost of macro-tunneling underneath each of those, you know, those are the kinds of issues that develop as you get deeper and deeper into design. In fact, the city didn't have a water use permit at the time, right? So it was, well, you had a permit, but you didn't have a permit for the expanded capacity that it needed, right? So it's, you know, we compare, and then of course you had the pandemic and the escalation and, you know, all the various things. It's just, this has been what the market has been seeing, unfortunately. You know, it's definitely not unique to Revere Beach.
Madam Chair? Yes, so just on construction costs alone, we know that in the last 2 years, due to inflation and other matters, but mostly inflation, construction costs went from $180 a square foot to $380 a square foot. And that goes with all materials and mechanicals and everything else associated with it. So obviously timing has a lot to do with what the costs are going to be in construction. You almost need a crystal ball if you're planning well ahead and you're looking to make a profit. Good thing we're not looking to make a profit. Good luck to Haskell and CDM Smith. By the way, I want to thank them. This was a very difficult project because of the size of the site. They had to come up with a very special membrane system. Nigel, Brown Caldwell, you all did an excellent job here. It was very, very difficult. You were putting 5 pounds in a 2-pound bag, and you had to figure out the membrane system. And I'm glad that, unfortunately, our previous people in the utility district weren't willing to make some difficult decisions. I know they were trying to save money for whatever, but there are certain things you just can't save money on. You just have to do it. And I'm glad that the team that took over afterwards was willing to make those difficult decisions, as well as the city council. And that's why we're able to get to the point where we are today. So thank you all, the whole team. It was very, very difficult, and thank you all for getting us to this point.
Thank you. I think that this concludes my portion of the presentation.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Nigel, what is and I'm sure you've shared this information before, but I don't remember what it was. What is the useful life time frame for this new plant?
Okay. So I'm going to give you a generic answer initially, and then I'm going to add some specificity. So, you know, the useful life of any machine is always defined by how well you care for it. Maintenance, preventive maintenance, etc., etc. A membrane plant can last a very long time, certainly outlast anyone that's in this room. You're talking multiple decades. However, certain components of the plant have differing useful lives. Like the actual membranes that they put within the tubes, that's usually 10 years, right? But that's comparatively a relatively small cost. It's just changing out the membranes. Chemical storage tanks, right? You may get 10, 15 years plus, right? But again, these are things that cost in the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars. So with appropriate maintenance and scheduled repairs and replacement of components over time, there's really no limit on the life of the plant. You know, the building is going to be there. You know, the piping underground, God forbid some issue, is there and will be there for the life of the plant. It's just kind of the components that wear out, tubing, hoses, you know, membrane elements, things of that nature that have different useful lives. You know, so, you know, spending this money is not the end, right? Over time, you're going to have to keep investing in the plant. Instrumentation, you know, may have shorter useful lives. So yeah, but the plant is a long-term investment.
Okay. Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Even last time we were here, there was a discussion about raising the goal for local participation. And the mayor chimed in and said it should be a requirement. But had that language been changed in the JV agreement from 15 to 20? I think that's what it was.
Nigel, can you speak to that?
Let me
Madam Chair, if I may, call Mr. Hoisington to the...
And we asked for it to be changed from
right.
15% to 20.
Madam Chair, Mike Hoisington with Haskell, part of the JV. We did commit as part of the resubmittal to the GMP that we would commit to the 20% to Palm Beach County.
Yeah, and my question is, has it been changed in the document that would be signed and submitted to us?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, that is correct. That is
Okay.
what is attached to the backup documentation for this agenda.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Evans, with the number, and also I have a question for you as well. Mr. Evans, with the number of developments that we have, the facilities maintenance plan for all the new projects and developments, what does that look like? When are we going to have a full comprehensive plan, especially with the new water plant? Because that was one of the comments Nigel mentioned in regards to maintaining this actual water plant, and then across the board as well. We could talk about that at other facilities, but what does that plan look like? And I want to make sure that we have that established prior to, because our predecessors, a lot of the maintenance was not done at certain facilities, and they deteriorated at a faster rate. So for the future residents, I want to make sure that that plan's in place, and when will it be in place?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and actually I was working on a correspondence, it's funny you say that, about the maintenance of some of our other facilities. But I will tell you, that's one of the things that Director Neiman and the Assistant Director are working on to make sure that we train and acquire the appropriate personnel for the maintenance-related activities, because Director Neiman and I had the conversation that if we don't have staff that understand the maintenance of this project, a small mistake in the plan can cost you a couple $1 million with regards to those membranes. So training and making sure we recruit the right people that understand the expectation is going to be critical. But that will be something that, as part of the utility district staff and the transition of the utility district staff, they're going to have what is a maintenance superintendent that's going to be responsible for those related activities. So that's something that staff is going to be built on. And before we ever get into that plant, the board will see what a plan is to be able to maintain that, who's responsible. And one of the things that I think is also good about the design, the superintendent actually of the water treatment plant, and gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, actually has a view over the plant. We made sure that multiple high-level executives in the new water treatment plant, every day they can come in, they can look out their office window and see the operations on the floor as to what's happening and be able to watch some of the maintenance related activities.
Thank you. And follow up to that, thank you. And Board Member Guyton mentioned the local participation, the 20% increase that was updated. Now that was just a marker baseline. When we built our other facilities, especially the ones that the city and our residents paid for, our water plant, we were over 50%. So I know that that's a gaudy ask, but I think we as a city deserve to have as much local participation as possible, if that's an option for us to get as many vendors that are within the area, Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, to actually benefit from the $400 million investment. And I know your team is adamant about using the local vendors. So I appreciate the investment. I look forward to this celebratory event tonight.
Thank you.
We talked, Mr. Evans and I had a conversation about facility maintenance, and that is an item that has to be a part of our budget process because we're looking at $1 billion in infrastructure for the city. And the issue that we had, and the reason why it was crumbling, was that there was no maintenance done on these buildings. There was mold. I think that probably they changed the light bulbs, and that's about it.
Right.
And we have a situation where we got brand new infrastructure, and it needs to last a useful life. We won't be here, but at least we will make sure that the next generation can use that equipment, can use that building, can stay in that building, and not have to 30 years later start all over again. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, if I may. So I do have another presentation for you if you'd like me to present it. It's a thorough, in-depth look at the off-ramp. At the board's pleasure, I can go into that, or we can,
Madam Chair.
Let's move to the financial part. Is that what's next?
So we do have a memo that we provided as part of the finances, but we did not include the finance as part of this presentation because it was part of the last presentation.
Okay.
Madam
So
Chair.
where were we now?
Ma'am, we're also getting close to public comment.
Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and Director Neiman, I don't know if you have the price comparison that you can throw up. One of the things that I asked for the department director to share with the board, and I think it's important for the public to also know, is that, when we provide this service, I don't think a lot of people understand the value that we provide as it relates to the service. And so I asked staff to take, if 1,000 gallons of water that we send to your home, how much would it cost you if you were to buy 1,000 gallons of bottled water or 1,000 gallons of Coca-Cola or Gatorade and the like? And I think it's important for Director Neiman to share that, because as we make this investment in public infrastructure, your residents will stand to gain substantially with not having to buy or feel that they have to buy bottled water. So I think the cost comparison really shows the value that we are providing with regards to this investment in infrastructure. And so, Director Neiman, if you want to walk through that.
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may. So in front of each one of the board members is a price comparison. And actually, I'm going to pass over the mic to my assistant director who put this together this morning for me. Okay, perfect.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
So in front of you have an industry pricing comparison of common liquids. And so this was actually compiled today from local suppliers, Costco and Sam's. So our city tap water, based on our current bills today, is for 1,000 gallons of city water, not including the base service fee, sewer, and all the other stuff, just the water, is $5.01 per 1,000 gallons, or 0.005 cents per gallon. To compare that to other items that we commonly purchase in stores as residents and citizens of Riviera Beach, bottled water from Sam's, to get 1,000 gallons would take you 189 cases. It would cost you $752.22, or 75 cents per gallon of water. One that's not even on here, if you go to Publix, if you have those 5-gallon jugs and you try to refill them, it's 75 cents per gallon. I know that because I have to do it because I'm on well water where I live. So it's 75 cents per gallon, even if you bring your own water and stick it in one of their machines and fill up the water bottle. San Pellegrino, the sparkling water a lot of people enjoy, 315 cases makes up 1,000 gallons at a cost of $7,238.70, or $7.25 per gallon. Coke. San Pellegrino, 315 cases would make up 1,000 gallons, and it would cost $7,238.70 from Sam's, or $7.25 a gallon. Coca-Cola, which this one I actually had our plant manager look at it because I couldn't believe this number. 569, and this is the Coke Minis from Costco. 569 cases would take the volume to make 1,000 gallons at a cost of $12,227.81, or $12 per gallon. And then the last one that's on this list is Gatorade, also from Costco. These are the 16.9 ounce bottles, fluid ounce bottles, 380 cases at $7,615.24, or $7.59 per gallon. So the value you get in this, with this new water treatment plant especially, the treatment is actually better than the bottled water. Was talking to some folks actually before the meeting about the bottled water and the microplastics that are contained in bottled water, the BFPAs, the other issues with bottled water with all of these items. Coca-Cola comes in aluminum cans, which has been, there's been talk about, Alzheimer's disease caused by leaching aluminum out of cans, and that's what is, the cause. Our tap water will be clean, pure, and it will be, as Dr. Spirit has said, the best water, if not Palm Beach County, I would venture to say the state. I've reviewed the treatment, I've looked at the plans, and I would say that we will probably have the best water in the state of Florida, if not the Southeast.
Madam Chair, if I may, and I think it's important also, one of the things that the folks at home probably don't know is guys, the bottled water that's provided here, from a regulatory perspective, does this go through the same scrutiny that the potable water that we provide through our utility system go through?
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
I can say personally that it does not. There's actually I think it was Discovery Channel. They had one of those episodes on like how it's made, and they talked about treated water and bottled water. And there's actually a treatment a city it's in California. I want to say it's like San Francisco or somewhere in that vicinity that has two halves of their plant. Half of it goes out to the customers, and the other half is bottled. And even on that show, they talk about how the EPA, the state, all these other regulatory agencies make them regulate chlorine, pH, different. I mean, if you read the list of contaminants that we're required to treat for, hardness, all this other stuff on the municipal side is outrageous. Our treatment guys have to go through every few hours and test all this stuff. But bottled water runs through a carbon filter. We actually have one off of Beeline Highway. If you go out where the industrial park is, Nestle is consuming water from Palm Beach County Water Utilities. It goes through their treatment process and goes right into one of these. And then they sell it to you at a cost of $752.22 per 1,000 gallons. So yeah, it's amazing.
Madam Chair?
And it's tap water. Most bottled water is tap water.
Let me get to public comment for this item that we have, before we get to general public comments. You said we have 4 for this item?
Madam Chair, we have 5.
All right, go ahead, let's get started with that. And this is just only about this item that's on the floor.
Correction, Madam Chair, we have 2. The first speaker we have for this item is Mary Bram, followed by J.V. Dixon. This is for item 8.
Ms. Bram? Yes, ma'am. Well, there's general public comment, then there's this for this specific thing.
Good evening, Miss Mary Bram, Riviera Beach. I think this has been a long time coming here, but we are finally getting there. We got some GMP, guaranteed maximum prices out. But most of all, see, Ms. Brown was right. I told people that in my lifespan in living in the city of Riviera Beach, I estimated my cost as $500,000 there buying water, because I buy water. And I buy water that everybody that have come to my home know how I have stacked cases of water everywhere. I don't even cook any water. So hearing this and being here, because Miss Bram is not the only one. A lot of the residents are like that. And now we are at the point whereas we can move. We finally can move. I'm gonna say it right out, Mr. Nigel, Gracie, Josh, and your team. And I have to thank the city manager and his staff. But most of all, I want to thank the council, and hopefully that everybody would have a meeting of the minds here, because this is the rubber here that meets the road. In 2024, I did an interview. Every news channel always calling Miss Bram. See, you all don't really look at somebody sitting up there laughing. They always calling Miss Bram. And not just that, some of the high-up officials, they always calling Miss Bram. And sometimes I'll give an interview, and sometimes I won't. You know why? Because I hold out hope on you all. I do. I hold out hope on you all to realize that we can get there. Because in 2024, it was written about being that leader. We have some prices here. And we have wells that are up running. Josh, when you went, before you got it, we didn't hardly have any wells up running. Am I correct? We got some wells up running. That's more than a plus. So it gives the people a chance that cannot buy water to feel as if that you do have a safe network here somewhere. I guess that I just didn't buy it because Mr. Brown, when we moved into the city here, we just said no. We just said no. So I have lived up to that. But I want to cook. I want to drink. I want to be able to do things with this water. And another thing too, what you said, Josh, I know that this has been a long time with you coming, but you know something? Sometimes it pays to stay the course. To stay the course. Stay that course. So I'm going to say kudos. I'm just going to say kudos. And I hope that the board has a mind. Our pricing has been compared so that we are ready to move.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
For your comment. Next speaker is Erica Davis.
Erica Davis, Riviera Beach. Great job, Josh and Mr. Evans and all the utility team. We've been through a lot. And I just want to say realistically, I'm happy, but I do want to say that when you delay, it costs a whole lot of money. We need to get on board and start handling business like business should be handled up here. Because every time you delay, we have to pay. And I have a couple of technical questions for you, Josh. I want to know, do you have to replace any of the street pipes in the road in order to get the water plant built? And that, did you include, I'm sure you didn't include in the cost, will the plant last if we had a major hurricane while you're working on it? And will the old one hold up? That's another question. Because I'm sure that if something gets damaged, that's going to be another hidden cost. And I want to ask you a question for the residents so they can be aware of this. If your house is over 40 years old and they have lead pipes, I want to know, will that affect the water coloring, or will they still have lead in their water when they get to, open their faucets? So those are the questions that I have. Thank you.
Okay. Next.
Next speaker is J.B. Dixon, followed by Rochelle Hughes.
I'm J.B. Dixon from Singer Island in Riviera Beach, and I drink Riviera Beach water. No plastic for me. I also want to mention very proudly Ms. Sue Malamud, who did such an excellent presentation, is also from Singer Island. So we're proud of her. I, of course, came prepared to ask you all to vote in the right way, but obviously from your questions, it seems as though I don't really need to go into that. I would like to reference something, though, that I said last night at the council meeting, and that had to do with our consultants. And I wondered why, if we have Brown and Caldwell, who obviously know this, why this question was not asked
Ms.
just...
JD, I'm going to have to stop you right there because we're talking about this item right here. This is not general public comment. You can do another card for general public comment. We are on an item, resolution number 3-26, which is the purchase price.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't
okay.
know. I obviously marked it down wrong on my card.
That's fine.
My apologies.
That's fine. Next.
Next speaker, Rochelle Hughes, followed by Annette Dragon.
Hold on a second. I need another member here. Hold on one second, Miss Rochelle. I'm going to need a third person here for a quorum. Nick can get back. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Rochelle Hughes, Riviera Beach. What a great presentation to Josh, his staff. Great questions by the board. I think what they did gave clarification, because I'm here too, because I want you guys to, let's vote this through, let's get it done, let's have a groundbreaking. And so I think the comparisons that they did, very eye-opening for sure for me and for everyone, but it looks like, hey, we are on track. And so we're comparable, and man, let's just do it. Let's get it done, and let's have the best water in the state of Florida. So I just have to say, wow, this has been great, and vote yes. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Next speaker is Annette Dragon, followed by Robert Silva.
Hello again, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm saying let's get it done as well. All the questions have been asked and answered. You've got all the information. All you got to do is say yes. Again, thank you to Josh. Great job, together with the entire team. A lot of questions were asked and answered. You guys asked a lot of questions last time at the utility district meeting. He's answered all those questions for you. Just say yes.
Next.
Good evening, Robert Silva, West Palm Beach, Riviera Beach. I want to thank the mayor, the staff, and the residents of Riviera Beach. I've been here since 1978, 5 decades. And finally, I see the results of where it's coming from everybody. Thank you for all the numbers you put together that I'm following. I see a lot of the hard work that was put into it. I really appreciate all the time and effort in that. Just a couple observations. I got a lot more information as I was listening to everybody speak, and the board put a lot of thought into it. We need this plant. I just wanted to touch base on, I want this to be the best example. You're using Fort Lauderdale, Delray Beach. I want people to present this water plant as the national example of what we need here. And I appreciate that and look forward to everything you're going to do here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Julie Botel.
Please keep the comments for the item that is on the floor.
I am going to speak to you about the item on this agenda, because this vote before you tonight is probably the most consequential infrastructure decision that this board will ever make. And I was prepared to come up here tonight and say, and pound my fist on this podium and say, you got to get this done now. And I have all these reasons why you should not delay. And I had prepared a whole 3 pages worth of chastisement for those of you who are going to vote no on this. But my sense about this is that you're going to do the right thing. I really believe that. And I applaud Josh, Mr. Evans, Deirdre Jacobs, and everybody who has made a contribution to this evening's event tonight. I'm so pleased. I could not be happier. And I just want to say thank you to the board and to city staff for making this happen tonight. And see, less than 3 minutes.
All right. Any other?
Not for this item, Madam Chair.
Okay, very good. So we have gone over the item. We have gotten the questions asked. Can we have a motion?
Madam
We have
Chair,
a motion. We have a
already have the
second.
motion. Madam Chair, can I just make one comment before we vote?
Of course.
All right, Josh and City Manager, I think it's important for the public to understand that this plant will not be operating until 2029, more than likely, hopefully 2028, but more likely 2029. But we've done a lot of work on the existing plant, correct? To ensure that we get clean, safe water right now. So can you give us a little history of how much money in the last 2 years we've spent on upgrading the new plant, the old plant, and what else we're going to be doing to the old plant?
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
So over the past 2 years, and I really can only speak to the last 8 months, but I can tell you over the last 2 years, we've invested nearly $10 million into the existing water treatment plant. With that includes rebuilding and refurbishing both of our softening units, all of our transfer pumps, 4 degasifiers, rebuilding 14 out of the 16 filters, brand new instrumentation for all of our level transducers and flow meters. We have pretty much rebuilt the existing water treatment plant. I would tell you, with the work that we've been doing and are about to complete within the next 2 to 3 months, if it weren't for these future regulations and PFAS, that water plant could run another 10 years because of the amount of money that we put into it. Unfortunately, because of the style of treatment that we currently have, it will not meet those future regulations. And so it is time to continue moving forward with this new plant. But there's been considerable amount of investment made into that water plant. And I will tell you this, within the next 2 to 3 months, the water quality will be some of the best water quality that residents have seen in a long, long time.
Thank you. That's very important. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm ready to put a motion on the floor.
The motion is there and it's seconded. We can call the question. Madam Clerk, let's go.
Board Member Davis Panero,
Yes.
Board Member Guyton,
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Dr. Spiritus,
Yes.
Chairperson Lanier.
Yes.
This item is unanimous.
That's very good, huh? Just made history, sir.
So when is our groundbreaking, please?
Mark your calendars.
No, seriously, what are we looking at?
Madam Chair, we will have a groundbreaking for you before the end of February.
Oh, whoa.
2029.
You say 2029.
I was 29.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Let us get to, we only have left for this meeting, we have the regular public comment. Public comment shall begin at 7:30 unless there is no further business of the city council, which in that event, it shall begin sooner. Please be reminded that the city council board has adopted rules of decorum governing public conduct during official meetings, which has been posted at the front desk. In an effort to preserve order, if any of the rules are not adhered to, the city council chairperson may have any disruptive speaker or attendee removed from the podium, from the meeting, and or the building if necessary. Please govern yourselves accordingly. Let's get the first 3 members, Madam Clerk, up to the podium for public comment.
Madam Chair, we have 7 public comment cards. Acceptance for the cards are now closed. First speaker is Erica Davis, followed by Julie Botel and Annette Dragon.
Oh. No, that was loud.
Erica Davis, Riviera Beach. Josh, can you answer my questions, please?
Yes, just Davis, as soon as this is done, he can answer it for you. And I'm sorry, we should have got to it in between this time, but we'll get to it.
Okay, and Mr. Evans, I would like for you to expound on the investment bonds. Can you do that for me too? I appreciate that. I just want to say that I'm happy about this, and I want us to continue to be professional and stop doing the things that we've been doing. And you guys need to stop. It's not very unprofessional for you to be talking to each other. That's like sunshine law situation going on there. That's rude. And I appreciate that, Mr. Guy, that you stopped being rude on the dais, because I want to address what I saw last night after I left. If we wanted the previous District 1 candidate that's no longer sitting in that seat, we would have kept him. I don't know what your problem is with these two gentlemen, but whatever it is, you need to cut it out. Because I'm telling you right now, it's some things going on that we don't appreciate, and it could get real, real ugly legally. I'm telling you, I don't want to bust a bubble, but I'm serious. Mr. Evans is not going anywhere. Mr. Sherman is not going anywhere. That's a fact. You all better be worried about your spending habits and your behavior, because it can get real ugly with what you're doing.
Madam Chair, that's time. Sorry.
And I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.
Next speaker, Julie Botel, followed by Annette Dragon.
Good evening again,
J.B.
Julie
Dixon.
Botel, Singer Island and Riviera Beach. So this is not such a great topic. The last one was such a thrill to talk about, and this one gives me a little bit of agita, but I'm here tonight to ask you to rescind the vote that you took to reinstate the $1,000 a month stipend for service on this board. And this is not about any individual. It's not about questioning anybody's commitment. It's about fairness and priorities and public trust. In 2018, when I served on City Council, the very first motion I made, I was so proud to make it. There's a long story about what happened after I made it, but when I made that motion, was to eliminate that same $1,000 a month stipend for the utility district service. And I did that because I believed, and I still believe, that when residents are carrying the financial weight of major infrastructure, board members should not be increasing compensation from the same system these residents are paying into. Right now, our community is facing rising utility costs and a massive investment, well-spent money, by the way, but a massive investment in our water system. Families are watching their bills, seniors on fixed incomes are worried, and residents are told that every dollar matters. If every dollar matters for them, it should matter for you too. Rescinding this stipend would not solve every challenge, but it would send a clear message that this board is willing to put the community first, to lead by example, and to show that stewardship starts at the top. So I respectfully but firmly ask you to reverse that decision and return those funds to where they belong, supporting the utility district and the residents it serves. Thank you.
Annette Dragon, followed by J.B. Dixon and Lloyd Brown.
Hello again, everyone. Annette Dragon, Riviera Beach. Transparency. The first thing I would like to request is that city council meetings, special utility district meetings, and any other meetings actually start on time. Yesterday we started, I think, at 6:12. Today we were at 6:13. Yesterday you guys didn't get out of here until 10:30. I don't think that's right. You need to have your rest and relaxation as well, and we do as well. We also need to be respected. We show up at 6 o'clock in time to start these meetings, and you guys aren't here. And today, one of you showed up at 6:28. I'm somewhat surprised. The roll call had already been taken by the time this council member showed up. It's really important that you guys are transparent to us. We're trying very hard to support all your decisions and all the efforts that you make. Another thing, last night after we had left, there was a lot of talk about items that are happening, groundbreaking, ribbon cuttings and so forth. I'm asking again, can we put this on the City of Riviera Beach website? I would love to know when and where and who is going to attend all of these things. I want to support you guys in the community, and right now I've got no way of finding out what's actually happening. This is a real easy fix. And finally, I am still harping on about financial transparency. I want to know exactly how much money you guys are appropriated, what you spend it on, what events they're supposed to be for, and I would like to see a transparent accounting of all that, not just an agglomerated line item that somebody spent $10,000 on this and somebody else spent $12,000 on that. I want it itemized. This is our taxpayer money. Please, can you do this for us? Thanks.
Next speaker is J.B. Dixon, followed by Lloyd Brown.
I'm J.B. Dixon, still from Singer Island, still in Riviera Beach. I'm here to support what Julie Botel just said. I remember when she first ran for council, one of the things she said she was going to do immediately, and she did do it immediately after being elected, was to lead the fight to get rid of the $1,000 raise that the council had given itself. Now we come back these many years later, and you're trying to reinstate the $1,000. You have restated it. And I would like to ask you, who are here tonight, for someone to make a motion to rescind. And I would like someone else to second that motion. And I would hope that you would all vote yes for it. Thank you.
Next speaker, Lloyd Brown, followed by Mary Brabham and Ms. Polk.
I found a loophole. Chair Lady, I want to speak to Mr. Guyton because he's District 1 and has nothing to do with you other people. Hey, Guyton, they were saying they were going to close the stores, right? 24 hours. They never done it. You and the other two people in here try to get that done. You talking about crime? My friend's grandson got killed down there by the Shell station. A couple of people got killed. They talking about S Avenue. Let me tell you, last time I heard somebody got killed on S Avenue, I don't mean the one in the school because that dude was kind of, messed up in the head, they said. But I'm talking about down by the PDQ. That's what they used to call it. I seen a dead dude down there on the sidewalk. That's been 15, 20 years ago because I don't even go to them stores. Okay, and another thing, the sewer. How do you regulate that? If you in Murray Heights, y'all should get cheaper sewer because you ain't got but one pipe down the middle of the road. My neighbor across the street, his bill ain't but $93. My sewer bill is $71. You know what I'm doing? I'm stopping at 7-Eleven and all these little stores using the bathroom before I go home. I mean, honestly, I leave my toilet full of stuff until I have to, I feel like I want to flush it. That's bad. My bill was $238. You know that'll be $1,200 something dollars, maybe more, and it's $216. I know I don't have a leak because I cut it off. And then I got a couple of people told me that you used to calibrate these meters. I don't know why you stopped, and what makes it so bad, you stopped calibrating the meters, but you raised the water bill. So, I mean, you don't even know if these meters are functioning right. I mean, like I was saying, I worked at Pratt, and you got to check these flow meters out. You can't just put them in the ground and then 3 or 4 years later, you're going to raise the water bill without even knowing if these meters are straight. If you look on the news, there's another place somewhere in Florida where the same thing's happening. See, I'm not as dumb as I look. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I was saying, you know, a loophole when you said I can't talk to him, I know a loophole. See, I'm smart. And then another thing, I'm not up here really for the council meeting. I'm selling these at my house for those who ride down the street and the police going to stop you if you don't have a light. See, when you turn it on, it flashes. You can put one in the back and one in the front. That way, you can have a flasher. You do not have to have a light. So if you get one of these, come by my house, I'll sell them to you for $2 a piece. They cost me like, I ain't gonna tell you. But anyway, like I'm saying, back to the water and all that. When my friend was up there, we used to smoke marijuana on the top of that big old tower because he worked the garden. And that water was so good, you take that hose and run it, it was cool and cold. I don't know what y'all did with the water plant, the people who came in afterwards, because I'm going to tell you, y'all really screwed it up. That canal used to be all yellow. I think that was because the water was really fresh and they were really purifying it. Now it's not. I'm talking about the one right by the fire station. Anyway, straighten out the water. And come by and get these.
Next speaker, Mary Brabham, followed by Doretta Polk.
Okay. It's Mary Brown. I just love him. I just love Mr. Lloyd Brown. You have to meet a person in this places that they are at. We just love you, Lord. We do. I'm gonna say, love is what love does. And I'm gonna say a happy Valentine's Day to each and every one of you. See how Miss Brown felt about you? Everyone gets a Valentine heart here. You know why? Because Miss Brown do love you. I have to love you. We are all children of each other. I always look at it like that. And we can always have a meeting of the minds to come to a table so we can be reasonable. So I'm going to say a happy Valentine's Day to each and every one. And like I've said, I'm going to say kudos to Inlet Grove over there. See, he used to be the Palm Beach Post reporter. He used to be the Palm Beach Post reporter. So he's doing a tremendous job with the students over there. So guess what? They can be journalists as well. And this is what keeps we moving in this city here. I agree with what Dr. Botel said, because see, we changed that $1,000. Now, if you all see fit to keep that price there, and for what we're going through here now, if you want it, you must continue to earn it. And when you earn it, you deserve it. Because now, with our water plant in the condition now, what you all have voted on tonight, Miss Brown and the whole community need for you all to dive deep, to stay on this here. Stay on this here. And above all, brush up on your attitudes. Brush up on your attitude. You reflect the city. It's not us that they looks at. They always look when they call Miss Brown, I'm checking them. They always look at the board because you represent the city. And if it's bickering here and going back and forth up there, and some doesn't know exactly what's on the agenda, what do you expect for the outside community to see about us? So Miss Brown is asking you all to tighten up, and move things forward. Move things forward. I know you can do that. That's why I didn't do no interview. For that same very reason. Thank you all.
Last speaker is Doretta Polk.
Good evening. My name is Doretta Park, and I'm a citizen of Riviera Beach. And I just want to commend Mrs. Sue Melamont. Yes. That was phenomenal presentation that she did. It's phenomenal. And I would thank Mr. Josh, Mr. Evans, also Ms. Deirdre Jacobs, for moving this water plant, and all the workers. Now, I went to a very wonderful dedication to Miss Sadie McCray Park. It's going to be a renovation there, and it was absolutely wonderful. Mrs. Dawson and Mrs. Matthews and her husband, Mr. Matthews, they were the pioneers also. But prior to Mrs. Sadie McCray passing, they picked up the shovel and kept going, feeding the children. And she wanted me to be a part of it, the concerned mothers. So kudos to Mother Dawson and Mrs. Matthews. Now, one thing I want to really express is that these additional funds, there were 2 council people said no to this. Now, there's 3 also council personnel. You can rescind this, and I hope you do this tonight. This is a total of $72,000 a year that you all will be making. This needs to stay in the utility district. We need every dollar to build this plant. So I hope that you all just search your conscience and rescind this, because the citizens, there are a lot of citizens, senior citizens, they're suffering. And everything is going to be going up higher and higher. Our bill in September and October is going to be high. So please, search your conscience and do the right thing. And Mr. Guyton, you said that what is Mr. Josh doing to identify getting funds and whatever? How about you all rescinding this and keeping those funds right there in the district? That'll help. I know you talked about bonds and everything, but that will help. That will help each and every citizen of Riviera. And I want you all to think about that and just do the right thing. And hopefully someone had the courage to do that. Another thing, Mr. Councilman Guyton, you said yesterday that last meeting that this man on the right side of me doing this, that's not respectful. And that's not professional. You're better than that, Mr. Guyton.
Thank you, Ms.
Better than that. And I thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We have come to the end of our meeting, but I really want to make a statement in regard. On the back here, you have the GMP1, and it goes through all of the phases. The first 3 phases was carried through by Ms. Deirdre Jacobs, who was the she was the utilities director in 2019. When we got here in 2019, the city was under a consent order from the U.S. Department of Health, and she got that lifted, and we were able to come from under that. And then, after she handed it off, and the rest is about it. But I wanted to give her kudos, because when we got here, and as I said before, half of our wells were down. They were not being used. They needed to be rehabbed, and as Mr. Neiman has said, we have spent over $10 million getting these wells back up and running so that we can at least get to a point where when we hand this off to the new plant, we're just as good at the old plant. So thank you guys so much, especially the young men and women who work over at the water plant, for their dedication to doing the day-to-day tasks of keeping that water plant going. We really appreciate that. Mr. Evans, Josh, Ms. Jacobs, staff, for making sure that we were able to get to this point from 2019 to get to this point tonight to be able to move forward with the brand new water plant. I think we should give ourselves a hand. There were two different items. Mr. Newman, you can start with Erica's questions in regards to. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, so in regards to the water mains and the roadways, yes, there will be several different tie-ins for our raw water and our finished water. Those will happen along Blue Heron Boulevard, so the residents will see active constructions during the 4-year time of construction. Moving to the hurricane question, our current water plant is hurricane rated, although if we had a massive Category 5, there could be potential issues, but we have emergency power, and we do have the ability to make it through a hurricane. As far as preparations for a hurricane for the new plant and during construction, the JV is required to have a plan submitted before construction starts for any type of hurricane or any type of event, and so that will be prepared well in advance to make sure that we can react and respond accordingly. She also asked about lead pipes. So back, I think it was 2025, the EPA required all utilities to do a lead pipe inventory. The city has done that and has had that finished prior to me starting, and we can get to more in depth, but the city actually provides a map with all of the lead pipes throughout the city. Now, in response to the new water coming from our new water treatment plant, the city staff and the JV team have taken a very progressive approach to making sure that we do not precipitate anything off of those lead pipes or any pipes within the city. And so about a year before the plant starts, we will actually start injecting a corrosion inhibitor at the existing plant. That will, in unison with starting the new plant at about 20%, then 40%, then 60, 80, and so on till we're entirely on the new plant. Those two items will help eliminate any of the leachates that could potentially happen coming from our system. And then the last question we had was about meter calibrations. In 2017 and 18, the city moved to an AMI. That's an automatic metering infrastructure. Those meters are generally good for anywhere from 10 to 15 years. And so over the next 3 to 4 years, we will start calibrating meters, but industry standards dictate that those meters are just fine.
Thank you. Mr. Evans, could you give some feedback to the questions that were asked during public comment? There was one question Ms. Davis had as well. What was that, Ms. Davis? Oh, the investment bonds, yes.
Yeah. Madam Chair, as part of obviously the capital stack for the new water treatment plant, we know that whatever funding mechanism we look at, it's going to require us to be creative as it relates to what the capital stack is. And what I mean by capital stack, what is the lending instruments that we utilize? And so one of the things that we've talked about previously over the last couple of years is the opportunity to afford the community to participate in mini or micro bonds. So we would provide for an opportunity on a specific time and a specific period whereby residents or utility customers will be eligible to buy bonds from, depending on whatever denomination the board selects, from maybe $500 to $10,000, whatever the board looks at and proceeds forward with. As a result of those investments, you would have a situation where if somebody buys a bond and holds that bond for a period of 10 years, you can see, depending on what interest rates, you can see a payback of that bond of, total of $750, which is a profit of $250, depending on what market conditions is. The intent behind that is to allow for residents of this community and utility customers to assist in the capital stack or the funding of the water plant, but more specifically, to allow for residents to benefit in the upside in making the investment in a service that they are receiving. It is better for us as a community to invest in ourselves and benefit from the upside versus a situation where folks in New York or a pension fund comes in and provides the $400 million and makes, $400 million worth of profit as a result of the interest that accrues over the duration of the loan. So we really want to advocate and provide an opportunity for every resident to participate in this particular program because, one, it makes the funding of the water treatment plant easier and cheaper for us, but also you become an investor. You become somebody that will call the utility district and say, hey, the grass is pretty high, or you need to paint this building, because they are an investor in this particular asset that they're receiving a benefit from. So we think that this is really a no-brainer for us to offer to our residents, but a situation where you can get a guaranteed profit and an investment on a piece of infrastructure that will last our city for well over 60 to 70 years into the future. So that's something that once we get to that point, we will be having some very in-depth conversations with the board and the community, and making sure that the community is well aware of this opportunity so they can invest in the water treatment plant and participate and benefit from the upside financially.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Manager, are those triple tax-free bonds?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
That's one of the options that we're looking at. It depends on, what our loan structure is and, different elements about that. But yes, we are looking at all different options, and that would be something that we would present to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Let me finish the feedback from the public comment. Was there any?
I think it was just about the municipal bonds or the mini bonds.
Okay.
And it was in line with the.
Wait, there was another one from Mr. Floyd about 24-hour stores. Mr. Evans, do we have a prohibition regarding 24-hour stores?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I think we do, Councilperson, but let me double check and I'll get back to you, and I'll have someone look into that particular issue.
That's also something that, with the chief of police, because
Yeah.
He's cleaned up a lot of the stores, but the 24 hours still is a problem for the city. I don't think it's 24 hours in any of the neighborhoods, but Riviera Beach, open all night long, and that's when the problem happens. But could we get the chief at our next council meeting to give us some feedback on that?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'll have the chief prepared to address that. And
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Madam Chair. I'll save my comment.
No, finish. All right, very good.
We won tonight. We're good.
Okay. We are at the end of our meeting. Do we have any comments from our executive director? Sir?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the board members up there for this continued support. This is going to be still a long process ahead of us. This is a complicated and obviously expensive endeavor that the city's enduring, and I will make sure to provide monthly and weekly updates as we get more and more into the progress of the plant.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
yes, Madam Chair, I just want to take this opportunity to again thank this board for your trust in staff and providing the resources and helping us move this particular project forward. As you know, this has been a challenging, complicated, multifaceted project, but the board really took the bull by the horns and displayed real leadership. From a staff's perspective, we didn't expect you to agree with everything, and when we brought items forward, you challenged staff, you made us come back with sharper pencils, better numbers, you held us accountable, you held the JB accountable, and I think we got to a really good point, and we are able to move the most critical project in a generation forward, and that's a testament to your leadership. I also want to take the opportunity to thank previous boards. Previous boards had some challenges and some obstacles, and they too took some lumps along with this process. And so for those that have served, for the past 6 years, all made a commitment to making water infrastructure and investment in water infrastructure a critical priority for this city. So for those elected officials that took the oath to move this city forward, a lot of the success that we're experiencing this evening is attributable to a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of challenges, and a lot of things that other board members had to deal with. I also want to take an opportunity to thank the Assistant City Manager, Ms. Deirdre Jacobs, that I think has served as the interim executive director for the utility district at least on 3 different occasions when we've had attrition, and she really jumped into the utility operations and helped out as we were looking for an executive director multiple times. So I want to thank Ms. Jacobs for her commitment to the organization, her commitment to quality work, and commitment to quality activities at the utility district. I want to take the opportunity to thank the city attorney, Ms. Dawn Wynn, for her efforts and energy. The contract in and of itself took an exorbitant amount of time. When you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, it takes a lot of painstaking legal review to make sure that the city's interests. And so Ms. Wynn working with attorney Malcolm Cunningham, did an exceptional job to craft a contract that protected the city's interests, so much so that every time I met with the JV, they would always complain about the contract. So I knew that we did our due diligence to bring a contract that really was challenging for the JV from the standpoint is they knew that we weren't going to move, and we got a good deal, and we got to a good point. Also, I want to thank the utility district staff. The staff has endured a lot over at the utility district with attrition, and with this particular project moving forward, they'll have the largest investment the city has made in a generation, and also it would create an opportunity for them to have a state-of-the-art facility. I want to thank U.S. Water for U.S. Water's commitment to come in and help with the operational side. It did provide Director Neiman and Richard an opportunity to lean in and be able to bring you a GMP that you can vote on. And so to the U.S. Water Corporation, thank you for your efforts to help move the city forward. To our partners, CDM Smith and Haskell, thank you for staying with us through this entire process. I know we probably were your favorite client and partner through this process, but we're glad to get to this particular point, and we're thankful that you still believed in the Riviera Beach dream, so we certainly appreciate that. To Mr. Nigel Grace and Brown and Caldwell, thank you for your commitment to this organization. Mr. Grace was a leader and helped us through tremendous amount of challenges, from explaining the nuances of water to our community before a water treatment plant concept was even on the horizon. So Nigel, thank you for being a true partner and a true friend through this process, and we are better off as a community for having you involved in this process, so I appreciate that. To Sue, thank you, Sue, for jumping on board and helping us. And what some folks don't know is that Sue left an opportunity, or left her job that she had for a long time in New York, to help her hometown out here in the great city of Riviera Beach. And so we thank her for helping us with some of the pay applications and all the things that she helped us with to move us to this point. So thank you so much for your commitment. So we appreciate that. And to Mr. Terrence Bailey, who's not here. Mr. Bailey is involved in all of our capital projects, but from the layout and design elements, he put a lot of time, energy, and effort and transitioned those plans, and worked really well with Josh and Richard to get the water treatment plant to a good point. So he's put a lot of effort in behind the scenes that nobody would know that he's working on that, except for the couple of us that work on capital projects. So thank you to Mr. Bailey, to Director Sermons and the Development Services team. Certainly appreciate their time, energy, and effort. And to our Executive Director and our Assistant Director, thank you, gentlemen, for joining the team and believing in what we were trying to accomplish here. You guys jumped in with both feet. You didn't know what you were jumping into, but we appreciate that you took a risk with us, and we're better off for having you as part of our organization. And I am so thankful for you guys being part of the team, and I really look forward for what the next iteration of this water treatment plant is. So thank you for your service and your continued professionalism to move the district forward. And lastly, to the residents of Riviera Beach, thank you for holding us accountable. Thank you for coming to the meetings, coming to the podium, expressing your frustration, your disdain, your voice as it relates to accountability, and making sure we move the organization forward, and holding us all accountable, and making sure that this project continue to move forward despite and in spite whatever the challenges are. And that's the one thing that is special about our community, is the people that live in our community, that care about our community. And so we are certainly better off for the residents that have believed in this dream. And this is a lot of work and a lot of energy to get us to this point. And thank you for helping push this boulder up the hill. And we're certainly excited and can't wait to celebrate the groundbreaking of the new water treatment plant, and can't wait to start providing potable water out of there as soon as we possibly can. And so, Madam Chair, that concludes my comments for this evening.
Madam Attorney? Madam Attorney?
No comments, Madam Chair. Congratulations, though, to everyone.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiritus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to reiterate some of the statements I made previously. I'd like to thank the previous board. I've had the honor of working with two boards on this project, We had to make some very, very difficult decisions, very controversial decisions. We did do that, and my congratulations to both boards and all those council members. This is an historic day for not only the city of Riviera Beach, but for Palm Beach County. And I'm so pleased that Riviera Beach will be taking the lead and setting the example for the entire state, and as we said before, maybe even the entire nation. So congratulations to the staff, city manager, Josh. Clearly the JV team did an excellent job. I know how tough it was for you for that first couple of years, but we want to thank you for everything you did. Nigel, you know, we're going to need you on board, you know, during this whole process now. It's not over yet. We have a long way to go. But I want to thank you. Susan, thank you for stepping up. I know how difficult that was. I know how tough it is to come out of retirement or semi-retirement and then start working twice as much as you did before. And thank you so much. We have so many good people here in Riviera Beach that have so much knowledge, and I thank you for stepping up. And once again, thank you to the entire city and to the residents for standing behind us during this process. I know how difficult it was. It was very challenging. There were times where we weren't sure we were going to get to this point, but we did get to this point. And thank you all for being there, and thank you once again to the whole city. Congratulations to the city.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis Premier?
Sure. I won't call too many names, but I do want to thank everyone involved with getting us to this point. As a resident and a council person, I'm extremely proud. I'm excited about the future. I'm glad that we have made this investment in improving our city and improving our water quality for our residents. Water is a part of our health. It's our survival mechanism, so I'm thankful. I especially want to shout out the director, Mr. Neiman. We do have a little history, but I'm very proud of you. I'm thankful for you coming on board at a challenging time and sticking to it and getting it done. And I know that support, that comes with a lot of support from everyone, from our manager, our assistant manager, the boards, and everybody. But I do know what it is to step into a challenging situation. And, you know, I'm very glad that you stuck it out and that we are here today. And if I was, you know, at one of my, I say, it's been a long, long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. So I'm very proud that change is coming for Riviera Beach and our residents.
Commissioner Guyton?
Testing. Thank you, Madam Chair. Like everyone else, we are excited about the move tonight because it's a very huge step. And water is the most important issue in our city right now. Kudos to everybody who participated. It's been a team effort, and a lot of the work was done before I got on. So, but I also want to very briefly address something. This is a First Amendment country. You can say whatever you want to say. But let me tell you about me. Threatening me does not do anything to me. I want to make that clear. I do not get intimidated by threats of... Hey, I didn't speak when you were speaking. I didn't speak when you were speaking.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
We cannot have the outburst in the audience, ma'am.
No, I didn't. I didn't call Ms. Davis' name. Okay. Don't feel guilty. So anyway, I'm saying threats do not intimidate me. This chambers can be packed with people running out of the event here. When I say running out, standing up, shoulder to shoulder. That never intimidated me, and it never will. Nobody asks, Bruce, what's going on behind the scenes? I said last night that the public doesn't know the backstory. All you know is what you see out here, my frustration. If Mr. Evans or any of my employees disrespect me, it's going to be a problem. And I will put a motion on the floor to terminate his contract. Quote me on that. I want you to quote me, because people must understand that we all expect respect. And if I feel disrespected, it's going to be a problem. And if you all want the seat, you can have the seat. That doesn't, I mean, my life continues on. So I'm going to let you know that Mr. Evans is going to be held accountable. And good, I can handle mine. And not just Mr. Evans, Ms. Wynn, Mr. Mercius. I've called all of them on the red carpet at some point. Mr. Evans the only one that gives this arrogant, disrespectful response. It's disrespectful. But that's okay. I deal with it. So, you all have a good night, and whatever you need to do, you do it. I got me.
Thank you, sir. Mayor?
Just want to say congratulations to our residents. I want to say that this is a long time coming, and I'm very proud of the work that this board and previous boards did to get us here. I especially want to thank our legislative aides that behind the scenes, they take a beating. Mr. Horace Towns, Sammy Brown, Jatelsa, Ms. Danielle and Eric Range, you guys work with our staff because you're the ones that get all the phone calls. You're the ones that get a lot of the beating that we do as well. So I have to commend you because everybody has given all the accolades to our staff. Mr. Evans, Ms. Jacobs, and to our new staff, Mr. Neiman. You guys have literally done the impossible. This facility was 30 years past its useful life, and you accomplished it. So regardless of some of the frustration and the heartaches that we go through, proof is in the pudding. We got it done. We're going to move forward. Now we have to fund it and keep progressing this city forward. So congratulations to you. Congratulations to this current board and my former board members that started this process. And I commend every single one of you because it's been a blessing to work alongside you. And to the JV team, we're excited to build this facility. I look forward to our groundbreaking and even better, our ribbon cutting. Congrats to Riviera Beach, guys.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller Anderson?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say congratulations. A lot of you have already said what needed to be said. But one point of view I want to come from is the fact that I've been on this council since 2015. And I can honestly say the group of people that have been on board since about 2019, we've been able to put all of the pieces into place in order to make sure that we were able to get to this point. And of course, it was not easy getting here to this point. We had to make a lot of tough decisions that our predecessors were unable to do or were not willing to do because it's not popular. You know, we are trying to make sure that we are able to not have this all on the backs of the taxpayers, but that's what happened over all of these decades. Nobody wanted to make the tough decisions, and by not making those tough decisions, it caused us to be in the position that we're in currently. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you that were able to be a part of this in making sure that we got to this point. And, you know, with all of the happy things being said and done tonight, I think it's a perfect time to be able to say that we need to tighten our belts as well. And so I do want to make a motion that we rescind the $1,000 stipend. And that is a motion.
I second that motion.
Very good. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion in regards to this item? Very good. Madam Clerk?
Board Member
Oh,
Davis
hold on a
Pannier.
second. Hold on one second. I want to make sure we get this right. Is this an item that is being brought back and has already been voted on? How does that work? Because we're looking at an item that has been voted on, and would it have to be brought back by the?
Madam Chair, if I may.
I can change the way that I said my motion if that would be helpful.
It's a rescission, it's not a reconsideration, so it's
Okay.
it's proper.
All right, very good. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Davis Pannier.
No.
Board Member Guyton.
No.
Vice Chair Miller Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Dr. Spiritus.
Yes.
Chairperson Lanier.
No.
This item does not pass.
Commissioner Miller Anderson, are you,
This item has failed.
Commissioner?
Madam Chair?
We're gonna have to have you be removed from the, audience, Ms. Davis. We're still in the middle of a meeting.
Did you need something from me? I was going to finish my comments.
We have a commissioner that's speaking. Go ahead, Commissioner Miller Anderson.
So, like I said just now, and that's, obviously it's absolutely fine. But I do think we need to think about, what we're going into. I know we're putting our new water plant online, and we're going to have to continue to advocate for ways to be able to lessen the burden on our taxpayers, which we've all been doing. I think one thing that was overlooked or not really mentioned was last week when we were in Tallahassee with the youth council. Mr. Evans was there as well, but he was spending a lot of his time going to the legislators as well, and me and the mayor were able to go with him as well. So we are actively trying to get fundings and grants to be able to not have it put on the backs of our taxpayers. But at the end of the day, congratulations to you all for making the tough decisions, for getting it done. I can honestly say that that was not happening my first few years that I was on the council, and part of that is why we're in the situation we're in now. And so I just wanted to thank you all for, and the previous board that was here since 2019 for working together to try to get us to this point. Congratulations to the entire team. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll close out with the thanks and the kudos to the utility district staff, city administration, city attorney's office, and all the employees in the city of Riviera Beach. In 2019, when I ran for office, I had no expectations of politics at all. There was problems that were happening in my neighborhood, and I wanted to be able to make some changes to it. And came into this with the wide-eyed naivety of, we'll get it done so quick. I ran on a platform of a new water plant. That was 2019. We've had board changes. We've had financial challenges. We've had staff turnover. We've had in terms of the optics of the city, we've had so many challenges to be able to get to this point. To be able to understand how this city works, looking at the science of water, looking at how development deals are put together, looking at how you're going to finance something, how you're going to pay for it. All of these things you have to learn so that when you are presented with the information, you'll know what to do. And I think that this board has did that. We've actually had to go to school to be able to understand these deals that are on the table, given the fact that in the last 20 years in this city, there had not been one building erected. And when this council came on in 2019, we started out with our fire stations. We're moving to police stations. There is a lot of development going on through our CRA. You can see the marina, which is coming up. There is $1 billion that the city is spending in terms of trying to get our city to a point where people want to move here, people want to buy homes here, and that we can improve our schools. So I am happy to be able to have served this time. Ironically, in 2018, I was a part of the charter committee for the city of Riviera Beach, and one of the charter amendments was to limit the people to 3 terms. This is my 3rd term. After this term, I will be done with the city of Riviera Beach because I cannot run again. And I just wanted to say that at that time, these 9 years, seeing the changes, seeing the progress of the city. I was born in this city. I live in the house I was actually born in. I know how this city looked, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. I know the challenges that have gone on. I know the optics. I know the bad press. The city was known for corruption. The city was known for not doing anything, kicking the can down the road. It was a mess. And we are not perfect, no. But we have came a long way in terms of the optics of this city. We were seen as in the terms of 37 municipalities in Palm Beach County, the worst. In terms of how we did business, in terms of how we treated our residents. And we've come a long way in these last 7 years in regards to how we make sure that whatever decision that we make, our residents are the ones who are going to say, this is what the decision that we want. So we're not doing things up here because we don't have any input from the residents. We have always made sure that we have community meetings on major decisions that we're having. And in the last 7 years, everything has been major. From $20 to $30 million fire stations, $40 million police stations, $300 million here at the marina, another $300 million for the city hall. It is money here in this city, and we're trying to make sure that for the next generation, I have a 5-year-old grandson, we're talking about his children. So the things that we're doing now is going to carry us into that time, and we're hoping that the residents can just stick with us to be able to take care of the business of this city. Thank you so much for the residents, because you are the ones. I mean, I've always said that the residents, there's no other city in Palm Beach County that residents come to this mic and go off on us. When I say go off on us. We got to take it. That's what we signed up for. Yeah, we got to, I mean, you can say, but what we going to do? We can't, we can only take it because that is what we signed up for. They say it's something wrong, then they have the right to say that. You got to have thick skin. I think that was one of the First Amendment rulings. Elected officials should have thicker skin than regular residents. That is the truth. So you have to give us grace. We will give you grace because it is a difficult position to dig this city out of the hole that it was in. Our optics were bad. We had a running segment on Channel 5 called, what was it called? City in Turmoil. It was awful. It was awful. Everybody said, what is happening in Riviera Beach? So I am so happy that we've gotten past that we're going to have some issues. But the way that this city is now being seen as a player, as a place where people can come here and buy a house and have 3 beaches to go to, have a port next door, have a marina. No other city has this. So we are in a position to make sure that the next generation of the people who live in this city can enjoy this city, because we have been working to get to the point where the next generation can enjoy what we have built for them. And with that being said, this meeting is adjourned.